All right, headlights are finished. Last project on the truck we have to go is do this coil spring. So I'm gonna get all my tools ready, I get the truck jacked up, and I'll get everything prepped here, and then we will come back and start this project to finish up the work on the tow truck. Alright guys, so we're on to the coil spring. Got the truck up in the air. For a job like this, I like to support the axle on the side you're not working on. Over here you have to support it on the frame. And then over here I've got the axle jacked up on this side so that the spring is compressed. So that way I can put my spring compressor right on it the way it is right now. And then I can just drop the jack down and it'll take all the load off the spring. And then a nut right here, a nut on top, and I might have to remove this canister in order to pull the assembly out. So this is the spring that we're replacing. When we get it out, I'll show you there's a crack on the bottom rung over there. Here is the new spring. Real pretty, not covered in salt. So, another thing that you're going to need for a job like this is people hate them, but you will need a spring compressor. Get a good set that's got locks. You got these pin locks on either side so it can't jump off the spring. So, let's get in there and get that out. Alright guys, so we got the coil spring coilover out of the truck. You can see there is my issue. So we will try to figure out how to get this spring off. I have been told that you can press the spring, this goes up, and there's a retention ring down here that you remove and all of it slides out the bottom. I hope where I heard that from is correct. So let's get started. Alright guys, look like what I was told is right. This is the retention on the bottom, and then this slides right over it. And now you can get your spring out. That makes me very happy, because the only alternative was to remove the tension, the spring perch, which involves removing the canister, which means that when you're done, you've got an uncharged shock. So now we will slowly loosen up the spring compressors and slide the spring off. we will put the new one back on in the exact same way, making sure that we put it on with the words facing the right direction. Not that you have to, but it'll bother me if I don't. Alright. Now we get the spring compressor on here. Lift this one up, compress it just a little bit so we can get this back on the bottom and we can get our retention shims back on and get it all seated down appropriately. And then we can throw it back in the truck, which hopefully isn't that difficult either. Alright, new spring is back on. Retention clips are on. The cup is seated. Now throw it back in the truck. We got the 1 bolt down here, 3 bolts up top. We got to make sure we tighten this bolt down a little bit more too. I just loosened it so I could pivot the arm a little bit. And then we've just got to, you saw I took the tie rod bolt off just so that the axle could drop a little bit more on this side. So let's throw it back in the truck. Guys, so we got the coilover back installed, the 3 bolts up top with the top bracket, the bottom bolt down here, and I did have to take this bolt out here to take the strut out to let the axle articulate down a little bit more. A trick for a job like this is a very heavy axle, and this coilover is too long to go in the way it is, so the axle has to be pushed down. It's very difficult to push it down. So what you can do is I just used, these trucks come with a bottle jack, and I put it on the arm here on the frame there, and I jacked the arm down until it gave me enough clearance to, first you bolt the top hat, then you jack the arms down, and then once you have enough clearance, you swing the bottom perch into the mounting location on the axle. Food break. All right, so while I take a food break here, I would like to know, out of the 2 vehicles that I have in my garage right now, obviously 2 very extremes, what would you rather work on? A big heavy truck that sucks lifting everything that you're trying to work on, or a 2,000-pound car that I could probably do half of the work on that car with a 3/8 inch ratchet? Just curious. I personally know which one I prefer to work on, so just curious what everyone else is into. Alright guys, as you can see, the truck is back together. Everything went pretty smoothly, a lot smoother than I actually thought it was going to be. I was been putting this off for a little while. I've kind of been dreading doing it, but it actually was not that bad. So everything is put back together in here. No real complications at all. The only thing that really sucked was this nut right here. But otherwise everything worked out pretty good. So let's take it for a quick test drive and make sure we don't have any unusual squeaks or squawks or anything like that, and call it a job well done. Clean up the shop and on to the next one. Alright, to the truck for a test drive. No issues, everything runs fine. Can't hear anything at all, so everything seems tight. Actually, it's a little bit more comfortable than it was before, go figure. Guess that's what a broken spring does for you. Alright guys, well that wraps up this project. Tow truck's all back together. Everything that I've been putting off for a little while was all taken care of. Got the shop all cleaned up, and we are ready to get back on to race car stuff. Thanks for joining. That's everything today. Anything that you need to know more in detail, questions, anything else that you want to see, or any other content that you want me to start working on, please let me know.